The last big signing that we need to talk about, and we saved this one for last, I don't know why, alphabetical order. Mackenzie Weegar actually stays in Calgary. I was kind of surprised.
The Big Mac truck is there to stay.
Big Mac, park that Big Mac truck, baby.
Right in the Saddle Dome.
Right.
Yeah. What? Like, let me just say, I'll be the first to admit it. I was very wrong about this when they made the trade for Huberdeau and Weegar. I thought that Florida won this trade massively because I thought that they weren't going to be able to sign any of them back. And you know what? That's my mistake.
It was fair at the time, though.
I didn't take into account that Trey Living was going to give them massively overvalued deals to do it, to the point that they couldn't say no. Like Mackenzie Weegar, there were a lot of credible rumors from like credible writers that towards the end of last year, when they were out of the playoffs, he really wanted to be traded to Ottawa. Like he wanted to play back home. And so I thought that once he gets shipped out to Calgary, he's very adamant in Calgary, like vocal about not wanting to sign a contract until the year is done. Everything's pointing to me as, okay, this guy's going to test up free agency and he's going to go to Ottawa. Then they lock him up at what? 8 years at 6.75?
6.25.
6.25. They have Huberdeau and Weegar for 9 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah, big like life-changing money that you can't say no to, I think, is a very good reason to stick around in the city. What I will say is that at the time you were very fair to have those thoughts about the two best players on your team just left. What's stopping these two new players who have no roots in this city from leaving? Well, lots of money is the reason.
But I did not expect them to give them that kind of money.
It was fair. Trey Living, I think, was like bound and determined to not let them walk, or else it was going to look terrible. So he was willing to overpay. But 6.25, I don't even know if that's really like that aggressive of an overpay, if an overpay at all. Like last year was one of the best two-way players in the league. It was 90-something percentile WAR, 90-something percentile both offensive and defensive. Let me just give a perspective because we know Leafs. Would you rather have they signed pretty identical term? Would you rather have Morgan Riley at 8 years for 7 or Mackenzie Weegar at 8 for 6.25?
Like how old is Mackenzie Weegar?
They're both 28.
Really?
Yeah.
Mackenzie Weegar looks like he's 47.
I know he looks quite old.
Wow, he's
28.
That young.
Yeah.
And, see, but Morgan Riley signed. Oh, he signed it last year.
So his will expire like 1 year earlier.
It's
but
all the same thing.
They're the same for this purpose.
It's a good comparison. I think everyone says Mackenzie Weegar.
Right? Because he just I'm surprised they got him for that cheap, considering his age and considering what he did last year. Maybe there is I was looking prior to last season with the Panthers. He wasn't incredible ever. He was really good, but not what he was. So maybe the leverage wasn't there. But the 8 years is going to hurt them. Every 8-year deal for anyone over the age of like 26 kills you at some point.
Now, right?
Now it's 9 years. Yeah, he'll be 29 when it starts. Yeah, so it'll take him to 37 if I can do some math. So maybe the end, it's not great, but I think 6.25 for like 4 years is a great contract. And they only care, let's be real, Trey Living himself only cares about the first half because he's going to be gone if they don't win a cup. So he gives literally no craps about what the back half of these contracts look like. So I think for these like 2 to 3 years where they're actually competing, they're a better team than what they were last year, which that maybe that's like aggressive.
No, I think you're right.
You think?
Yeah.
So like, okay, let's talk about it then. Would you rather have Gaudreau and Tkachuk, or for the next 2 years, Huberdeau, Kadri, Weegar?
For 1 year, I think the latter is marginally better. I think they're marginally better. Positional value, I mean, like having a defenseman like that is very, very important. You now get Nazem Kadri who plays down the middle, and you still have a great left winger instead of having 2 wingers, right? And not for nothing, like Jonathan Huberdeau, like we hate on him a lot, but he's the best passer in the NHL. He has to be, right? He's a lock for over 100, probably over 110. The guy is a point machine. Like I think this bleeds into the point that I want to make is that Like, these contracts are very deceptive. If I was a fan of the Calgary Flames, I would say that I'm crazy saying that Florida still won the deal, because you have the best passer in the league, one of the best wingers in the league at 10.5, and you have who's also an Art Ross candidate, like, every single year.
For sure, he's up there, yeah.
Right? You get one of the best two-way defensemen in the league at only 6.75, when guys like Morgan Riley are making basically the same money, right? Like, yeah, you're right. For the next 3 years, this team is better. But the problem is like, it's like fans don't realize that these contracts age, and it's very similar to when JT signed in Toronto. Do you remember everyone was like, Jonathan Tavares signs in Toronto at $11 million. He had an opportunity to make 13 in San Jose. He's taking a discount here. He's an 85-point player. $11 million is going to be great. And then you realize that 5 years down the road, it's not that it's a bad deal. No. It's just no longer, it's no longer great.
Yeah, it's a, let's call it what it is. It's a bit of an overpay now, especially because the cap never went up.
Yeah, and the problem is they're doing this on two players. Like, in 4 years, what is stopping the Calgary Flames from being San Jose 2.0?
Nothing.
Right?
They have Kadri's contract too, 7 years at roughly 7, I think.
Having 3 daggering contracts that prevent you from rebuilding because no one wants these deals. You're going to have to give up picks in order to get these guys out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So the reason why I'm saying, like, I still think Florida marginally wins, and the reason why I say that is because you're now getting one of the best, like a top 5 winger in the league, like you said last time when we ranked, who's, unlike these two types of players, like, the back half of that contract is going to be better because he's getting better every year. He's already a Selke candidate, and he's making less money.
He's making less than Huberdeau, yeah.
Right? So I think now that they signed both of these guys to monster deals where the first 3 years are going to be great and overall the contract is a slight overpay, makes this just a slight Florida win. It's no longer a fleece, and I give credit to Trey Living for making these signings. Yeah,
but definitely credit is due to Trey Living for actually, like, making his team relevant still, because my gosh, mid-July, whenever it was, it happened in August, before they had before all these signings had come through and they got Kadri, it looked like the beginning of the end for this team, and he's done a really good job of getting better, if not at worst staying the same. And for these 2 years where they are genuinely contenders before all their other contracts expire and before these guys start to age poorly, like, he's done a really good job, and it is cup or bust now in Calgary.
Like, the unintended consequences of signing these two types of players is that Nazem Kadri signs. Like, if these two guys don't sign, Kadri's not coming here for 7 years, right?
Because Kadri wants to be on a team that he can possibly win again, and, like, I'm sure having these two guys around was, like, a sign that they can actually be good again.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I will be the first to say that over the next 3 years, Calgary will be a top 3 team in the league, and they are better than they were last year.
Yeah.
Not to keep saying it, but the back half is going to be bad. But if you are Brad Trey Living, first name Brad, sorry.
Yes.
One of the bad, like, I can't remember names, I'm sorry. If you're the GM of a very, like, not a very, but a smaller market team that's hard, I don't know if they're small market, but they're harder, they find it harder, to sign free agents by virtue of where they're located. Having a 3-year cup window like this is about as good as you can get it.
Absolutely.
Right? And I would say he's done a good job.
Yeah, I mean, these players are still in their prime for these 2 to 3 years, along with the other guys who are very good. So, yeah, they're going to be really dangerous these 2 years. After that, different story. But we got 2 years to worry about that if you're a Flames fan. So,
and if you are a Flames fan, 3 years later, look back on this podcast, which you're definitely not going to do. But look back, and if you don't win a cup and the back half of these deals are tremendously bad and it's tough to cheer for the Calgary Flames, take solace in the fact that you commended this guy for giving you a 3-year window. Yeah,
I mean, it's tough, because as a fan, like, you want to always cheer for a good team, but in the GM's head, like, the point of the game is to win the cup. So at certain point, you need to take risks if you know you have a window. You also happen to be in a window where we're going to see one of the best teams I think we've ever seen in Colorado have a window where they have 2 of the top 5 players in the league. Also, Edmonton, 2 of the top 5 players in the league. The Leafs, 2 of the top 7-8 players in the league. That I know the playoffs, they turn into bums for the most part, the team, but, like, they're still very good.
Very good.
Like, there's gonna be a lot of really good teams over the next 5 years. It's gonna be tough to win cups. So it's go big or go home for real.
Mackenzie Weegar, like, on a microstat basis, is very silently like a top 10 defenseman in the NHL. He's so good. Dude, 97% expected WAR, 97% expected offensive value, 95th% expected defensive value, playing 90th percentile of competition. Like, this dude, and not for nothing, he's also, like, a playoff type defenseman.
He's huge.
The big hit that he laid in game 1, I can't remember who it was against, but it was in the corner where he just laid some guy out. Like, he is one of the guys where if I was playing in the NHL and I'm playing the Calgary Flames, he's one of the guys I'm keeping my head out for.
Yeah.
You know?
You're chipping in the opposite corner.
Right? Like, he's a guy that going into that corner, oh, crap, look over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I might get drilled by Mackenzie Weegar. And not for nothing, that type of, so word that I'm looking for, reputation might help cause one or two like muffin turnovers because you're scared of getting laid out as a player.
Exactly. And that's a Daryl Sutter player too, which
100%.
Building your team around a coach, not something we see often. We talked about it. Like, this is a Daryl Sutter team, and if Daryl Sutter can get a Daryl Sutter team to play, they're dangerous.
If there's any one player in the league that I think fits best under Daryl Sutter's system, it's Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah, because he's good at everything, which is what he wants.
And silently.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. And find the link to our full podcast and all our socials in the description down below.
Also, don't forget to turn on those notifications to get live updates on new videos that we release.